History is full of firsts.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Many of those firsts shaped our way of life. For 70 years, KPRC Channel 2 has been proud to be pioneers in shaping television and Houston history.
In a state the size of Texas, everyone can enjoy.
Causing the storms Thursday. Minutes before 9 o'clock, the crew's here telling her.
For the first time in a long, they had 11. Send us some of your
Isn't it good to work for a place that has a sense of history? And indeed it is.
See, taking the president from Spring to College Station following.
If you have something you'd like Channel 2 Investigates to check out, call the tip line at 713-223-TIPS or email investigates@click2houston.com. Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2 News Midday.
Breaking news in a fiery crash that killed a baby and 2 adults. We are learning more about the man who deputies say caused the crash and why they say he is no stranger to law enforcement.
Also, he was fired from Texas Southern University. Ahead, what the school's former president is planning to do today.
They are the hottest tickets in town, which shows the rodeo says are now sold out after they went on sale just an hour ago. This morning, we are expecting a special report on President Trump's acquittal in his impeachment trial. We will join that special report where the president is expected to talk about the acquittal as soon as it happens. Now to our breaking news story. New information released on the suspect accused of causing a deadly crash. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Sirota.
Good morning. I'm Tanaya Wright. That crash happened just off the North Beltway, killed a baby and 2 adults in Northwest Harris County. This morning, we are learning Gregory Smith has a long criminal history. Channel 2's Vincent Crivelli joins us now live from Northwest Harris County with more on that. Vincent, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Investigators say that the suspect, Gregory Smith, was out on bond for driving while high on PCP and assaulting a police officer. They say yesterday he was intoxicated driving again. That caused a crash that killed a grandmother, her daughter, and her grandbaby. A horrific, fiery, and fatal crash. 2 adults and 1 baby died in the flames, 4 others critically injured in a 3-vehicle crash. Precinct 4 Constable Mark Herman.
Responsible for snuffing out the lives of 3 people yesterday, one of which was a small infant.
Investigators say yesterday, 30-year-old Gregory Smith was intoxicated driving the silver SUV, blew a red light, slammed into the back of a black SUV, then smashed into a minivan.
I can tell you that our office and District Attorney Kim Ogg's office worked through the night to put all the pieces of that investigation together.
Smith is no stranger to law enforcement. This is just a part of his rap sheet, a laundry list of charges that include driving while intoxicated, robbery, and assault of a public servant, and that's just a portion from 2019.
In the last couple of years, he's been filed on 14 times for criminal cases. Out of the 14 criminal cases, 7 of them have been dismissed, which I don't know why, but we're going to look into that.
Now Smith is in custody at the hospital while the community mourns the loss of 3 lives taken too soon.
As a law enforcement officer, this is one of the most horrific accidents I've seen in quite some time. And what makes it even more difficult for me to comprehend is that this individual is a career criminal.
And right now, Smith has no bond. Authorities say he'll be charged with 3 counts of intoxication manslaughter and 2 counts of intoxication assault. Reporting live in Northwest Harris County, Vincent Crivelli, KPRC, Channel 2 News.
Thank you, Vincent. In Southwest Harris County, deputies are searching for a driver who hit and killed a man. The sheriff's office says this happened just before 7:15 this morning. Sky 2 flew over that scene on Addix Clodine right near Timber Rock Road. Now, Clodine, excuse me. They have not determined the man's identity just yet, only saying that he was between the ages of 50 and 60. Investigators also have not released a description of that suspect.
A major milestone for NASA astronaut Christina Koch. She is back on Earth after breaking the record for the longest single space flight by a woman. She landed early this morning in Kazakhstan. Koch spent 328 days in space, during which time she took part in the first all-female spacewalk with fellow astronaut Jessica Meir. It was Koch's first trip to the International Space Station.
Pretty amazing. All right, well, it is a really cold start to our
Boy, but you know what? At least the sky looks nice, Eric, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've got sunshine breaking out, and that kind of lifts our spirits a little bit. So even though it's not all that warm outside, the sunshine kind of warms us up mentally, if that makes any sense. Right now, Kaplan Sinus Relief camera showing that sunshine shining off the buildings in uptown, downtown in the distance. We're at 44 degrees. So yeah, it is chilly out there. This would be close to where we should be for an early morning dawn type temperature, not a midday temperature. So we're going to stay cool start to finish throughout the day today. In fact, we're going to struggle to make it into the 50s. So definitely jacket weather, even though you look out your window and you think, wow, it looks pretty warm out there. No, it's not, and it won't be. Part of the reason we've got a northwest wind, 16 miles per hour, a bit breezy out there, a bit brisk. We're going to call for temperatures to make it into the mid 50s. That's being a little bit optimistic, but 54 degrees, I think it's doable with a fair amount of sunshine. And then we drop right back into the 40s this evening after sunset. So we've got a cool afternoon this afternoon. We've got a cold night coming up tonight, but there are changes on the way. Exact track radar with sunshine, obviously no rain. That's all pushed off to the east, well east of the Mississippi River, and making its way to the Carolinas. For us, look at that, Texas, high and dry and building sunshine in the Lone Star State. So yeah, our forecast is looking good. Sunny skies are taking over. We do stay cool today and tonight, but we've got a weekend warm up just in time for Saturday and Sunday. We'll talk about that. There is rain coming back into the forecast. We'll time that up for you too, all on the 10-day forecast. Stay tuned.
Looking forward to those warmer temperatures, Eric. Thanks so much. Remember, you can track these temperatures anytime you want. All you have to do is download Frank's free forecast weather app. Just search KPRC in your Apple or Android app store.
On Capitol Hill, the president acquitted at the impeachment trial, but a lot of the attention also on Senator Mitt Romney, the only Republican who voted to convict him. Now some Republicans are asking that Romney be expelled from the GOP. NBC's Kristen Welker shows us the backlash.
President Trump embracing victory.
When they impeach you for nothing, then you're supposed to like them. It's not easy, folks.
And denouncing Democrats at the National Prayer Breakfast this morning.
My family, our great country, and your president have been put through a terrible ordeal by some very dishonest and corrupt people.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi just a few feet away, taking an indirect hit.
Nor do I like people who say, I pray for you, when they know that that's not so.
His remarks just hours before an address to the nation.
He is hereby acquitted.
Every Senate Republican voted to acquit the president on obstruction of Congress. On abuse of power, one defected.
Mr. Romney, guilty.
Utah's Mitt Romney becomes the first senator in history to break with his party on impeachment.
That what the president did was wrong, grievously wrong.
Republicans declaring this months-long effort over.
It's time to move on.
But But with protests in Washington and across the country, Democrats are vowing to continue investigating the president's behavior.
If the president does it in 3 months, they should impeach him again.
The partisan divide even deeper this morning, with President Trump forever impeached, but keeping his job. So now President Trump becomes the first American president to be impeached, but also stay in office and run for re-election. Tracy Potts, NBC News, Washington.
We are getting our first look at the driver who police say led officers on a lengthy chase on Tuesday that ended in downtown Houston. Roy Hooks is charged with felony evading in a motor vehicle and terroristic threat of family members. Police say Hooks drove the wrong way on streets and on sidewalks. That chase lasting nearly an hour and ended at San Jacinto and Rusk Streets when police say Hooks' vehicle crashed into a bus stop.
Wet roads overnight might have contributed to a crash right along the Katy Freeway that sent 2 Houston police officers to the hospital. Police say at about 1 o'clock this morning, the officers were driving right near Chimney Rock when they noticed a disabled vehicle and swerved, trying to avoid it. That caused their patrol vehicle to hydroplane and crash out. Now, we are told one officer possibly suffered a broken wrist and a leg injury. The second could have a concussion. Well, a terrifying home invasion stopped by a quick-thinking homeowner. This all happened in 5th Ward. It happened at about 1:30 this morning on Capron Street near Raleigh. Police say the homeowner saw the guy's hand right near his AC unit. That's when he grabbed his pistol, went to the front of the house to confront the suspect, and the shots were fired. Police say the crook was shot in the back and later taken to the hospital.
Now to the latest on the spread of the coronavirus. Beaumont's health department says it's investigating a potential case and is working closely with the CDC. We're told the patient made a stop in Beijing, China, and he is now in isolation at Baptist Hospital in Beaumont. More Americans who have been evacuated from China due to the coronavirus are arriving back here in the U.S. Earlier this morning, a plane full of people arrived at Joint Base San Antonio Laughlin. Americans who are being evacuated from China must stay in quarantine for 14 days after arriving back in the U.S.
Happening today, the Texas Southern University president who was fired is getting ready to speak out. Dr. Austin Lane will hold a news conference at noon today. This is all going to take place at the Ensemble Theater. Lane was fired after an investigation conducted by TSU's internal auditor, board counsel, and a third party of investigators found what they say are admissions inconsistencies and other breaches of contract. Lane says he plans to fight these allegations. Well, another big day for rodeo fans. People working right now to get tickets to see those Friday performances, but good luck.
Right. Tickets went on sale at 10 o'clock this morning. They're arguably the hottest tickets in town, right? 30 minutes ago, the rodeo said tickets for Lizzo were sold out.
I didn't get any.
The rodeo says there are still tickets available for other performers. To buy them, make sure you set up what's called an Access account. Head to clicktohouston.com/rodeo for the link. Here's a look at all of the artists performing this year. Once you have your account set up, just pick the show you want to wait for and then enter that online waiting room. Again, for more info on official ticket sales, just head over to clicktohouston.com/rodeo.
Some fast food restaurants have started getting a kind of cult-like following lately.
Yeah, so for Whataburger, some fans like to dress up in their gear. Coming up, the restaurant's big competitor that's now introducing its own clothing.
Plus, he's a legend among baseball fans. Still ahead, how Pete Rose is trying to get into baseball's Hall of Fame and the role the Astros play in his plan.
A shooting inside of a Walmart is caught on camera. Why one of the victims ended up getting arrested.
Caught on camera, police in Memphis are looking for a gunman who opened fire inside of this Walmart after police detained a man who was not even involved. This all went down on Tuesday night. The man says he was picking up a friend at a hotel when police surrounded him. Officers thought he was the suspect because both of those men had dreadlocks and receding hairlines. Police arrested one of the victims after he gave false information about where he was shot.
A manhunt is underway in Maryland for a suspect who authorities say shot 2 police officers. Detectives Scott Ballard and Ian Preece are stable. It all happened after the detectives pulled over a person of interest in a murder investigation. That person fired at them, striking Detective Ballard, who was able to drive himself to get help. Detective Preece continued the chase. Police say he too was shot by the suspect, who got away.
Former Cincinnati Reds player Pete Rose wants his lifetime MLB suspension lifted so he can be considered for the Hall of Fame. Now, Rose says the fact that the players were not punished after the Astros sign-stealing fallout should open the door for his reinstatement. Rose agreed to that lifetime ban back in 1989 after an investigation found that he placed bets on the Reds to win while he was playing for them and managing the team. Rose's lawyers say he wants a meeting with the commissioner.
As reporters, sometimes we have to do stories with animals, but one animal you don't want to do a live shot with is a snake. Here's why.
I wish you wore a red dress.
You just beat my microphone.
Yeah, no thank you.
No, ma'am. Sarah Caught says she was doing a story on snake safety.
Of course.
When she decided to have the snake wrapped around her while filming. She says she was scared because her hand was close to where that snake was biting. Caught bravely continued the live shot, but says it was nerve-wracking. You think?
Yeah.
My cameraman and this snake handler just stood there. They thought it was hilarious, but it calmed down and I ended up getting the shot that I needed for my package. And then as soon as that was done, I said to the snake handler, get it off me, because I didn't want it on me any longer.
It's all about getting that shot, right?
Yeah, it's a money shot there. Oof.
Thankfully, only the microphone felt the wrath of that snake.
Oof. I feel like that's a terrible. I'd be scared for my face because his face is near her face.
Yeah.
I've already been bitten in the face by an
She's
animal on
one
TV. I'm
brave
good.
soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I watched that video and my pulse just races because snakes kind of, they
Not one of your
They make me
favorites.
nervous. They make me nervous. That's all I'll say. Better her than me.
It's like moving on. It's cold out there.
It is very chilly out there. Temperatures are struggling to make it through the 40s. We're at lunchtime, so don't expect much of a warm up even though the sun is shining out there. But hey, it is sunny, so that's something, right? Definitely a bright day, so should put you in a good mood regardless of whether you like the cold weather or not. Let's take a look outside. You can see the clouds there on the eastern horizon. This is our Babes Beach camera down on the island. Good looking shot there, and you're going to see more and more sunshine as the day progresses in Galveston. Clouds clearing from west to east this morning and into this afternoon. So 44 degrees, west breezes 16 miles per hour. So not only is it cool out there, but it's also breezy. So we've got a bit of a wind chill thanks to that northwest wind. So current temperatures, notice the background color blue for cool. Yeah, it's staying cool. These are numbers that we should be seeing right about dawn this time of year. We should be approaching the 60s typically for early to mid-February out there. All right, so the breeze is coming out of the northwest. We've got sunshine that's trying to warm us up. That northwest breeze is really trying to cool us down. It's pulling in.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
Hello, everyone. We're coming on the air to bring you remarks from President Trump following his acquittal by the Senate yesterday on 2 counts of impeachment. This morning at the traditionally bipartisan National Prayer Breakfast, a defiant and unrepentant President Trump called his accusers, quote, dishonest and corrupt. The president expected to come in the East Room a moment from now. His legal team is there. Let's go to Hallie Jackson right now, who can set the scene for us.
Lester, this room is packed, the East Room, with a who's who, frankly, of the president's closest defenders and his allies. Just moments ago, there was a fairly extended standing ovation for the people that we have been watching over the last 2.5 weeks. Pat Cipollone, I should say, Jay Sekulow, as the music begins and the president gets ready to walk in. Lester.
All right. Thank you, Hallie.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Wow. We've all been through a lot together, and we probably deserve that hand for all of us because it's been a very unfair situation. I invited some of our very good friends, and we have limited room, but everybody wanted to come. We kept it down to a minimum, and believe it or not, this is a minimum. But a tremendous thing was done over the last number of months, but really, if you go back to it over the last number of years, we had the witch hunt. It started from the day we came down the elevator, myself and our future First Lady, who's with us right now. Thank you, Melania. And it never really stopped. We've been going through this now for over 3 years. It was evil, it was corrupt, it was dirty cops, it was leakers and liars. And this should never, ever happen to another president, ever. I don't know that other presidents would have been able to take it. Some people said no, they wouldn't have. But I can tell you, at a minimum, you have to focus on this because it can get away very quickly. No matter who you have with you, it can get away very quickly. It was a disgrace. Had I not fired James Comey, who was a disaster, by the way, it's possible I wouldn't even be standing here right now. We caught him in the act. Dirty cops, bad people. If this happened to President Obama, a lot of people would have been in jail for a long time already, many, many years. I want to start by thanking some of, and I call them friends, because, you know, you develop friendships and relationships when you're in battle and war, much more so than, gee, let's have a normal situation. With all that we've gone through, we've done, I think, more than any president and administration. And really, I say, for the most part, Republican congressmen, congresswomen, and Republican senators, we've done more than any administration in the first few years. You look at all of the things we've done. I watched this morning as they tried to take credit for the stock market from think of that. Let me tell you, if we didn't win, the stock market would have crashed. And the market was going up a lot before the election because it was looking like we had a good chance to win, and then went up tremendously from the time we won the election till the time we took office, which was November 8th to January 20th. And that's our credit. That's all our credit. And leading up to that point was our credit because there was hope. And one of the reasons the stock market's gone up so much in the last few days is people think we're doing so well. They liked the State of the Union speech. It really is. It's a true honor to give it. Making the State of the Union speech, I was with some people that have been around. They've been all over the world. And one of them said, highly sophisticated person said, you know, no matter where you go in the world, it doesn't make any difference. There is nothing like what I witnessed tonight. The beauty, the majesty of the chamber, the power of the United States, the power of the people in this room. Really an amazing. Even I don't think there is anything like that anywhere in the world. You can go to any other country, you can go to any other location, any other place. It's the beauty of everything. It's what it represents and how it represents our country. I want to start by introducing some of the people that are here. I know some are going to be left out, but they work so hard. And this is really not a news conference. It's not a speech. It's not anything. It's just we're sort of, it's a celebration because we have something that just worked out. I mean, it worked out. We went through hell unfairly, did nothing wrong, did nothing wrong. I've done things wrong in my life, I will admit. Not purposely, but I've done things wrong. But this is what the end result is. You can take that home, honey. Maybe we'll frame it. It's the only good headline I've ever had in the Washington Post. I'll tell you. But every paper is the same. Does anybody have those papers? Does anybody have them? Because they're really like that, so I appreciate that. But some of the people here have been incredible warriors. They're warriors. And there's nothing from a legal standpoint. This is a political thing. And every time I'd say, this is unfair, let's go to court, they say, sir, you can't go to court. This is politics. And we were treated unbelievably unfairly. And you have to understand, we first went through Russia. It was all bullshit. We then went through the Mueller report. And they should have come back one day later. They didn't. They came back 2 years later, after lives were ruined, after people went bankrupt, after people lost all their money. People came to Washington to help other people. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, they say. They came, 1 or 2 or 3 people in particular, but many people. We had a rough campaign. It was nasty. It was one of the nastiest, they say. They say Andrew Jackson was always the nastiest campaign. They actually said we topped it. It was a nasty both in the primaries and in the election. But you see, we thought after the election it would stop, but it didn't stop. It just started. And tremendous corruption. So we had a campaign. Little did we know we were running against some very, very bad and evil people with fake dossiers, with all of these horrible, dirty cops that took these dossiers and did bad things. They knew all about it. The FISA courts should be ashamed of themselves. It's a very tough thing. And then we ended up winning on Russia. It should have taken the one day, as I said, and it took years. Then Bob Mueller testified. That didn't work out so well for the other side. But they should have said that first week, because it came out. Is that right, Jim Jordan? They knew in the first 2 days, actually. Devin, is that right? 2 days. They knew that we were totally innocent. But they kept it going, Mark. They kept it going forever. Because they wanted to inflict political pain on somebody that had just won an election that to a lot of people was surprised. I mean, we had polls that said we were going to win. We had Los Angeles Times and a few papers actually said we were going to win, but it was going to be close. And we did win. It was one of the greatest wins of all time. And they said, okay, he won. And, you know, I wrote this down because that was where a thing called the insurance policy. To me, when I saw the insurance policy, and that was done long before the election. That was done when they thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win. And by the way, Hillary Clinton and the DNC paid for millions of dollars the fake dossier. And now Christopher Steele admits that it's a fake because he got sued by rich people. I should have sued him too, but when you're president, people don't like suing. I want to thank my legal team, by the way, not for that advice, but for other advice. Pat, Jay, Pat, you guys stand up, please. Great job. Right at the beginning, they said, sir, you have nothing to worry about. All of the facts are on your side. I said, you don't understand. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. And that was really true. They made up facts. A corrupt politician named Adam Schiff made up my statement to the Ukrainian president. He brought it out of thin air, just made it up. They say he's a screenwriter, a failed screenwriter. He tried to go into, unfortunately, he went into politics after that. Remember, he said the statement, which is a mob statement, don't call me, I'll call you. I didn't say that. Fortunately, for all of us here today and for our country, we had transcripts. We had transcribers, professional transcribers. Then they said, oh, well, maybe the transcription is not correct. But Lieutenant Colonel Vidbin and his twin brother, right? We had some people that really amazing. But we did everything. We said, what's wrong with it? Well, they didn't add this word or that. It didn't matter. I said, add it. They're probably wrong, but add it. So now everyone agrees that they were perfectly accurate. When you read those transcripts, Tim Scott, I don't know if Tim's here, but he said, sir, he's the first one to call me. Sir, I read the transcript. You did nothing wrong. And Mitch, he stayed there right from the beginning. He never changed. And Mitch McConnell, I want to tell you, you did a fantastic job. Somebody said, you know, Mitch is quiet. And I said, he's not quiet. He's not quiet. He doesn't want people to know him. And they said, is Mitch smart? I said, well, let's put it this way. For many, many years, a lot of very smart, bad in many cases, sometimes good, but people have been trying to take his place. And to the best of my knowledge, I've never even heard the subject come up because they've been wiped out so fast. This guy is great, and I appreciate it, Mitch. And he's also given us 191 now. 191 federal judges, 2 Supreme Court judges, right? We're up to 191. Yeah. Great guy. Great guy. He's a tough guy to read. I'm good at reading people. Tough guy to read, I'd call him. My wife would say, how'd you do with Mitch? I don't know. That's what makes him good, when you can read somebody. Fantastic job. And he understood right from this was crooked politics. This was crooked politics. How about all these people? They're running for office. They're saying the worst things about me, like 8 senators on the Democrat side. Most of them got wiped out. You know, they got their 1% or less. Most of them got less. They decided to go home. Let's go back to California. Let's go back to wherever they came from. Let's go back to New York. How about that one? Our New York Senator, Gillibrand. Let's go back to New York after they get nothing. And then they take an oath that they will be fair, that they will be reasonable, you know, all of the different things, and they had to sign. They're not fair, but here's the beauty. So we have 4 left. They're saying the most horrendous things about me. It's okay, it's politics. And then they're supposed to vote on me. They're trying to replace me, and then they're supposed to be voting. So I think it's incredible. But so Mitch, I want to thank you very much, incredible, and you have some of your folks here. And they're incredible people, and they've been right from the beginning. And again, you're out of session. Unfortunately, I only told these folks, let's do this today. We did a prayer breakfast this morning, and I thought that was really good. In fact, that was so good it might wipe this out. But by the time we finish, this will wipe that one out, those statements. I had Nancy Pelosi sitting 4 seats away, and I'm saying things that a lot of people wouldn't have said, but I meant every word of it. But we have some of the folks that are going to be leaving right after this, and they work hard, and they did work hard. Bill Cassidy, Senator. Stand up, Bill. What a guy. Great man. When I need to know about health insurance and pre-existing conditions and individual mandates, I call Bill, or I call Barrasso. And we get those two guys, they know more than anybody. A man who just became a senator. He's a little bit like me. We have a couple of them. Very successful guy in business, and he said, what the hell? I'll run for the Senate from Indiana. And he ran, and I saw him on television destroying his opponent in a debate. I said, this guy could win, and I got behind him. And Mike Braun, you have done some great job. Thank you very much. Tough. Thank you. A man who got James Comey to choke, and he was just talking in his regular voice. He's the roughest man. He's actually unbelievable, and I appreciate the letter you sent me today. I just got it. But he's got this voice that scares people. People from Iowa can be very tough. We're doing very well in Iowa. But I'll tell you, Chuck Grassley, he's looking at Comey. Well, you tell me, what did you say? Now, he wasn't being rough. That was just the way he talked. And that was when Comey announced that he was leaking, lying, and everything else, right? He choked because he never heard anybody talk like that. You should have gone, I wish you got angry. You could have gotten the whole ball game. He would have said, I give up. Chuck Grassley is an incredible guy. And a man who, he was running against a tough, smart campaigner. We learned out how good she was, right? She was a great campaigner. In fact, by the end of the campaign, I thought she was more for me than you were, Josh. I was worried. I saw her ads. She was saying the greatest things about me. And you know who I'm talking about? And I went to a great place, Missouri, and I said, who do you have to beat her? And they said, well, we have 4 people. I said, let me see them. I got to interview people. Can you imagine? I'm interviewing people for the United States Senate. This is what I do. Where have I gone? But I love it. I love it because we're getting great people. The first one I met was Josh Hawley. After about 10 minutes, I said to the people, don't show me anybody else. This is the guy. He was the Attorney General, did a phenomenal job in the state, highly respected, and Claire McCaskill. So the theory was you couldn't beat her. Great campaigner. Remember the last campaign? She was always going to be taken out, and she wins, and people say, how did that happen? Didn't happen with him. But she got so friendly toward me. In fact, one of the ads I still have, I'm putting it in the archives as one of the best ads I've ever made. And she tried to convince people that we were best friends. But Josh ended up winning by 5 or 6 points. You were unbelievable. You were tough. And you are something. And one of the greatest supporters on the impeachment hoax was Josh Hawley. He was incensed, actually. I watched him. He was incensed at what they were doing and what they were saying. And those were the ones. I had some that said, oh, I wish he didn't make the call. And that's okay. If they need that, it's incorrect. It's totally incorrect. And then you have some that used religion as a crutch. They never used it before. An article written today, never heard him use it before. But today, it's one of those things. But, it's a failed presidential candidate, so things can happen when you fail so badly running for president. But Josh Hawley, I want to thank you. You were right from the beginning. Man, did I make a good choice. Thank you, Josh. Tremendous future. A man who is brilliant and who actually was deceived to an extent. It comes from a great state, Utah, where my poll numbers have gone through the roof, and one of the senators' poll numbers, and not this one, went down big. You saw that? You saw that, Mike? But Mike Lee is a brilliant guy. He's difficult. Whenever I sign bills, you know, we do sign a lot of legislation it's big and it's powerful, but it's sort of everybody has to approve it. And I see 99 to 1. 99 to 1. I say, don't tell me who's the one. Is it Mike? Yes. And he always has a good reason for it, too, by the way. But he's incredible. And right at the beginning, he knew we were right, Mike. And I appreciate it very much. You're just fantastic. And say hello to the people of Utah and tell them, I'm sorry about Mitt Romney. I'm sorry. Okay? We can say that Mike Lee is by far the most popular senator from the state. But you've done a fantastic job, Mike, in many ways. In many ways. A young woman who I didn't know at all, but she's been so supportive, and I've had great support from other people in that state, and she's been so supportive, and she's been downright nasty and mean about the unfairness to the president. And Kelly Loeffler, I appreciate very much. Thank you. Great. She saw it very early on. And we have, I don't know if we have other senators here, but we got a hell of a lot of congressmen. I'll go over them quickly, but they have also been, you know, it helped when we won 197 to nothing. That's got to be a first, Kevin, right? Is that like a first? The Republicans have this image. See, I say Democrats are lousy politicians because they have lousy policy. Open borders, sanctuary cities, they have horrible policy. Who the hell can win? Oh, the new policy is raise taxes. They want to raise taxes. You know, all my life I wasn't in politics, but I'd say, if you're a politician, you want to say, we're going to lower taxes. They want to raise taxes. So they have open borders, sanctuary cities, raise everybody's taxes, get rid of everybody's health care, 180 million people in the United States, and they're really happy. And we're going to give you a health care that's going to cost more money than the country could make in 30 years if it really does well. That's 1 year. So I've always said they're lousy politicians, but they do two things. They're vicious and mean. Vicious. These people are vicious. Adam Schiff is a vicious, horrible person. Nancy Pelosi is a horrible person. And she wanted to impeach a long time ago when she said, I pray for the president. I pray for the president. She doesn't pray. She may pray, but she prays for the opposite. But I doubt she prays at all. And these are vicious people. But they do two things. They stick together. Historically, I'm not talking now. They stick together like glue. That's how they impeached, because they had whatever the number is, 220 people. So if they don't lose anybody, they'll be able to impeach anybody. You could be George Washington. You could have just won the war, and they say, let's get him out of office. And they stuck together, and they're vicious as hell. And they'll probably come back for more, but maybe not, because the Republican Party's poll numbers, Mitch, have now gone up more than any time, I think, since 2004, 2005. And you know what happened then? But in normal times, decades, you would call it. That was a little unusual time. It was for a very short period. The Republicans Party's poll numbers and Donald Trump's poll numbers are the highest I've ever had there. So maybe they won't. It's no way to get your poll numbers up. It's not worth it. Because from my family standpoint, it's been very unfair for my family. It's been very unfair to the country. Think of it. A phone call. A very good phone call. I know bad phone calls. This is a phone call where many people, I think Mike Pompeo was probably on the call. Where's Mike? Mike Pompeo was on the call. Many people were on the call. I know that many people. They even have apprenti, bringing up an old favorite word of mine, the apprentice. They have apprenti. They have people on these calls. And I know there are many, when I speak to the head of a nation, and they have many people on. I mean, also, do you think they're just, in the case of Ukraine, he's a new president. He seems like a very nice person, by the way. His whole thing was corruption. He's going to stop corruption. We even have a treaty, 2001, 1999. It's a treaty, signed treaty, that we will work together to root out corruption in Ukraine. I probably have a legal obligation, Mr. Attorney, to report corruption. But they don't think it's corrupt when a son that made no money, that got thrown out of the military, that had no money at all, is working for $3 million up front, $83,000 a month, and that's only Ukraine. Then goes to China, picks up $1.5 billion. It then goes to Romania, I hear, and many other countries. They think that's okay. Because if it is Ivanka in the audience? Is Ivanka here? Boy, my kids could make a fortune. They could make a fortune. It's corrupt. But it's not even that. It's just general corruption. And the other thing is mentioned in the call, and something that I've told Mike Pence, our great vice president, I would tell him all the time. And I told him when he went on the trip, because he was over there. He never mentioned anything about this when you had your meeting. It's a terrible thing. But I told Mike, I said, Mike, we're giving them money, and, you know, you're always torn about that, because we have our country to build, we have our cities to build, and our roads to fix. But we're giving them money. Tell me, why isn't Germany paying money? Why isn't France? Why isn't United Kingdom paying money? Why aren't they paying money? Why are we paying the money? Is that a correct statement, Mike? I say, find out what the hell's going on. And I told that to all of my people, OMB. I said, I asked that question. How much is Germany paying? Why isn't Germany paying? Why is the United States always the sucker? Because we're a bunch of suckers. But that's turning around fast. But it makes it harder when stuff like this happens, because you want to focus, and you want to focus perfectly. Think what we could have done if the same energy was put into infrastructure, prescription drug prices. Think of what we could have done. And I'm now talking both sides. Think of what we could have done if we had the same genius, because it's genius. I will say it's genius on the other side, maybe even more so, because they took nothing and brought me to a final vote of impeachment. That's a very ugly word to me. It's a very dark word, very ugly. They took nothing. They took a phone call that